What's the curb appeal when buyers pull forward? It's called street appraising in our industry.
You want to make sure that there's no deferred maintenance that's observable from a drive-by. Welcome back to another video of Living in Washington State. Today, we're going to be giving you the 5 keys of preparing your home to sale.
So the first one would be, do you want to sell? Like, really search your heart, because there's a lot of work that goes into preparing your home for sale. And then, of course, the sales process, which will be a separate video.
Yeah, it's not going to be sold on Facebook Marketplace, just throw up a couple pictures. It's a big deal to sell your property.
Well, and to maximize your investment, your return on your investment. Just maximize what your net proceeds
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
And if you want my actual real life opinion, not scripted out, I think you shouldn't sell.
That's right.
That's just my personal mindset on real estate. And that is coming from some things that I have certain beliefs that you should just continue to acquire real estate instead of selling it, just rent it or create some sort of cash flow asset on that property.
If you can.
So that's an idea.
Yeah, I think Joe's grandma has done a really good job of that.
Yeah.
There's been some regrets. Oh, if she could have held on to some certain properties that didn't, but she built a nice portfolio.
But you have to sometimes, so it depends.
Right.
But in an ideal world, just hold on to it and turn it into a cash flow. In 30 years, you would never regret not selling. I don't say never. 90% chance you wouldn't regret selling. But there is also times where it's like, okay, maybe you want to move from one investment to another investment. You want to sell a couple homes and buy an apartment complex or something like that. I just really think of things from an investor mindset, which is not kind of the normal, like, yeah, let's sell your home. I just like double check that this is for sure what you want to do. And that's what I tell my friends. I'm like, I'm happy to help you buy more houses or things in real estate that are going to help produce basically generational wealth. So that's one of my passions with real estate, is that it can create generational and legacy wealth for your family and just really provide in an awesome way. But everyone's got a different life situation. But that's just like my personal heart on the matter of real estate mindset.
I mean, especially, with land, like they're not making any more of it. And so if you can hold on to land sometimes, or hold on to part of the land and maybe sell off part of it, or develop part of it with ADUs or additional dwelling units.
There's so many different
houses.
Things that you can do.
There really is. So that's the first part, is search your heart.
Exactly. And that's not to offend anybody. That's just to be real about how I think of things. So I'm always going to ask, are you double sure, triple dog sure that you want to sell? And if you are, that's our expertise, is helping people sell, because our specialty is definitely marketing. So we've had a lot of success.
And unique properties too. And sometimes somebody's just moving out of state and they just don't want to hold on to
and get it done and stuff.
Right, so. and have to worry about managing it and maintaining it and renting it out or what have you. So every situation's different.
Yeah. So if you want to sell,
search your heart.
Search your heart, but we're here to help if you do want to sell. That is something that our team specializes in.
So back to the 5 keys. The first one is, what do you do if you do decide, okay, I definitely want to sell this property, is the exterior. Take a look at, starting with the grounds and the landscaping.
Yep.
What does it look like? What's the curb appeal when buyers pull forward into your driveway?
Absolutely.
Or even from the street. It's called street appraising in our industry.
You just drive-bys.
Yeah, drive-by. Right, exactly. And so what does it look like?
Yeah, you want to make sure that there's no deferred maintenance that's observable from a drive-by. So what that means is
fences. Starts with fences.
Fences,
like, are they falling
siding,
down, leaning?
Roof, like if you see some shingles flapping in the wind, like it's
dirty roofs, dirty full gutters.
Oh yeah, it could be just like a moss that's built up on the roof, that kind of thing.
Or the driveways.
You can clean all that up, and it's very inexpensive. And even if you don't sell, you can be like, wow, I should have done that earlier. Right. So it's just making sure that curb feels good. Everything, when you drive by, you're like, wow, that house looks really well maintained. And
then as the buyers get out of the car and they approach the home, here's a little trick that I love to do, and it's called dark bark.
Yep, dark bark's good. It's
dark
what
bark.
everyone in Suncadia uses. So.
Well, I've used it for years on the west side even. There's a mix over here. We're in Ellensburg called bullfrog mulch, I think.
Yeah.
It's really almost black brown.
Yep.
And boy, it looks just so sharp.
Yeah.
And it covers a multitude of sins.
It does.
Underneath.
Yeah. Even if you got weeds popping through, you throw that on.
Yeah.
I would pull the weeds. But yeah, exactly. I think that really does sharpen it, especially if it's right before. You don't have to do it, and then by the time your home gets listed,
right.
maybe the dark bark's kind of like, woo. But
stuff was falling on it, or
yeah, you
started
want
to fade.
to look crisp, especially for those first couple open houses, I'd imagine.
Right before your photos.
Yep.
Yeah, basically right before you.
Boom, boom, boom. Get it ready. But we're jumping ahead. So we're going to stay back. With this prep, we want the exterior looking very sharp and fixing any deferred maintenance. It's going to really pay dividends for you, and you're going to get a lot more people in the door, which is the trick, because if people don't like what they see on the outside, there are buyers that just say, nope, see ya, adios.
I'm one.
Yeah.
No.
She's really good at judging a book by its cover.
Well, okay, so what happened, in fairness to me, was I was talked into going to look at a home when I was a buyer. I was a real estate broker, but I was looking to buy a home. And we were going to upsize out of a condo with 3 dogs into a home. I wanted a one-level home. I don't know why. I was in my 40s or 30s. I was in my 30s.
One-levels are nice. I mean, even as like with a family, I think of like, I have a 2-year-old. I'm like, I don't really want a ton of stairs. Because she could just fall down those stairs or something.
Wiener dogs. I had dachshunds.
So
and they can't go up and down
Those
stairs.
are your children. Yeah.
That's why I wanted one level. It all comes back
That's
to
where
me.
Big Dog Realty comes from.
Okay,
They were
true.
the big dogs, yeah.
They thought they were big dogs.
Yep, it's just little dog syndrome. But now we've got, you still have a little dog Dipper.
I have a half dachshund.
Yep, she has a half dachshund now.
He's not our mascot.
I'm the Labrador Retriever guy.
Yeah,
So, we've transferred the mascot, but Charlie Brown, he's no longer with us. So.
He's our chairman emeritus.
Yes, yep. But anyway, we digress.
That's why I wanted one level. So we pull up to this house that we had an appointment as a buyer to go in and look at, and the street appeal to me and the curb appeal, it was just, I didn't want to go in. I was so disappointed in person. I'd seen the pictures, and I kind of pouted a little bit. And my husband...
40-year-old pouting.
I was 30-something.
That makes it excusable.
My husband said, Heidi, we have to go in. We have an appointment. They prepared the home. They're ready for us to see it. Oh, and the seller was a real estate broker, too.
Oh, nice.
Right. That's
surprising.
Yeah, and it is a courtesy. If you have an appointment to go see the home, go see it. Actually... Don't be rude and not get out of your car.
That's a bonus
seller
tip.
went to a lot
rude.
of work. The seller went to a lot of work to prepare the home. And you might experience what I did on that case was I walked through the front door
and the script was flipped.
I said, wow. And I ultimately purchased that home. I knew when I walked through the front door, it went from me not wanting to get out of the car to walking in the front door, and I just knew. And the seller was kind of sitting over in the family room, and I knew from a negotiation standpoint, I couldn't play my card. I couldn't let them know how, wow, it was wow, and I wanted to buy that house.
But don't let that be an excuse to not do the outdoor maintenance we're talking about. Just because Heidi ended up buying that house.
Well, and I ended up keeping the appointment because a lot of people won't. They'll just, nope, let's go on to the next one.
Exactly.
And so that, if there's anything in this, is about preparing your home for sale, but also you're going to buy something if you're selling your home.
Correct.
So remember, you know what? Don't judge the book by the cover. And go ahead and
faith.
Yeah, go ahead and go on in. If nothing else, you're seeing more homes and properties for comparison, so that when you do find the one, you know it. You know this is it. This is it. So
So moving on to
interior.
It's the same kind of step process, except for you don't have to mow the lawn inside. You got to make
or power wash
yeah, exactly.
the moss, hopefully.
With inside, you just want to make sure that everything is no deferred maintenance. So make sure there's no leaking pipes. Obviously, you probably weren't living with that. You never know. Make sure that any DIY projects are completed, that drywall isn't halfway done somewhere. You want all those things finished up and not just lingering if you're preparing your home to sell.
Yeah.
And just focus on things that are obtainable. Don't like start a kitchen remodel. I mean, if you desperately need a kitchen remodel out of like functionality, or you think your real estate broker says you're gonna get an extra XYZ amount of dollars out of it, then it's something to think about. But there are better things to do. And so don't just like decide to remodel your whole house because you're like, well, I'm going to sell it. So you just remodel the whole thing. There's no guarantee on the return on investment with that sort of scale of remodel.
Right. You really have to look at the market. Look at the comparable properties. Did they have fully remodeled kitchens and bathrooms or not? I mean, granted, a lot of buyers don't want to do, they want to walk in turnkey. However, like Joe said, you might not get your investment back. So you really have to analyze that with the help of experts.
Correct.
So,
yeah. So we'll just keep encouraging you that you're going to want to find the best, most experienced real estate broker in your market that's going to be able to help you reach your goals. And that is going to be helping you walk through this whole process.
Right.
But you get some free information, some jumpstart on what they're going to be telling you from this video. So we do appreciate you watching this video. And if you are interested in more stuff about living in Washington State and real estate in general, feel free to like and subscribe and follow along. We're going to be releasing videos pretty consistently. And if you're interested in this topic, you'll definitely find our channel interesting. So we appreciate the support.
Yeah. So back to, as you prepare your home for sale, the first key, we need to pull a preliminary title report. We work with the title companies on that. If you don't know what...
Go ahead. So if you don't know what title is, like me, before I got my real estate license, I was like, oh yeah, title's like basically where your name's on like a piece of paper, right? Which is, there's part of that, but it's not the whole story.
It's not the whole story. Yeah.
Title is a very important process. It's really basically making sure that you own what you think you own. And it's the public record of any kind of encumbrances on the property, which is a fancy word for saying anything out of the ordinary, or it could be like a lien, it could be an easement, or anything outside of like, this property is mine, this is the fence line to this fence line.
Yeah, you want to find out what's, especially properties in rural areas oftentimes, do they have water rights that are, recorded on title? Easements, every property is going to have some easements on it, utility easements.
Totally.
There might be driveway easements. We just had a situation with a seller that bought a property 22 years prior, and there was a shared well agreement recorded on the title. The title report was 96 pages. A lot of documents to read. These are documents recorded on the title of the property, and they run with the land. So the buyer will be buying property with these things recorded on title. So it was a shared well agreement, and it was not in favor of the subject property. It was encumbering the subject property, and it should have been extinguished 29 years prior.
Because it was only going to last originally 1 year.
Yeah, but in order to extinguish it, both parties had to sign. The subject property owner and the neighbor had to agree to extinguish it. That had never been done. And when our seller had bought it 22 years ago, I think.
It had already been.
He and his attorney at the time just missed it or didn't extinguish it. But we said, hey, we are going to be marketing your property, and a buyer's not going to want this. Not going to want to take a chance that a neighbor would say, hey, I want to pump water out of your property. I have the right to do that. Yeah.
Never want anything like that.
Yeah. No. So we worked with the attorney at the time then before listing the property to get that extinguished and get that removed from the title report.
Right.
So things like that, you don't want surprises when you're under contract or you're negotiating a purchase and sale agreement with a buyer and then the buyer reads the 96
And they're like,
page
wait, I can use that
report.
to negotiate.
This
Or
is-
just walk out.
and walk away from
Yeah.
the deal. Yeah, I think there's plenty of buyers that would say, no, this doesn't make me comfortable.
Totally.
I'm not buying this place.
So in short, title's very important,
Title's important.
to figure out if you're preparing your home for sale. So talking with a title company and getting that moving forward. Your real estate broker should be doing that. If they're not doing that, then I would question things.
Well, and also we aren't charged. I don't know about individuals. If you're trying to do for sale by owner, I actually don't know. I know that we have relationships with title and escrow companies, many of them, and most of them won't charge to do a preliminary title search because
sure
it's part of
everything's
their
kosher.
service, and they want to work with us on providing that title and insurance, for the seller and the buyer on a transaction moving forward. So,
Yep.
yeah, you want good real estate professionals guiding you. They will have relationships with title and escrow companies or recommendations. You can compare fees. They're regulated by the state insurance commissioner, so they're pretty, comparable, I would say, their fees.
Exactly.
So
that's in summary key number one, which is the prep work to do before you're getting your home ready to sell. And then key number two is staging. So we kind of touched a little bit on it, but let's talk about staging.
Yeah, so it's the more of the interior now that we're talking about, and how do you want to present the home so that you get that wow factor?
Right, that made Heidi buy her house when she wasn't going to. So
right, you want to elicit
come
the
from behind
wow.
victory for the seller there.
And actually, that whole story on that staging video, you're going to link somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully right here. I don't know if there's enough room, but we might shrink it right here.
Somewhere.
So, yeah.
He's going to link that the staging doesn't make a difference, I think was the title of that.
Yeah.
So, and what we like to remind sellers, because, when we've met with sellers, they're oftentimes very attached to the way the home looks. That's how they live in the home, and they like
that's what they're used
that
to.
furniture, and they like the decor, and that's them. But it might not appeal to the general population.
Most likely doesn't. And getting a professional, non-biased, third-party opinion about your home's staging,
how it presents,
is going to be very helpful.
And to be open, I think, to be open in your heart to saying, okay, the way that I'm going to stage my home to sell is not how I want to live in a home.
That's the key right there.
And it's not probably going to feel comfortable.
It'll feel like, wait, do I live in a museum? And the answer is yes. Right now, you do live in a museum.
Or maybe the furniture is just really, really dated. And just updating the furniture, just saying, you know what, we're going to pull furniture out and put some fresh new pieces in. Maybe some fresh paint, fresh carpet, easy, inexpensive things to do, and change the whole look.
Yeah, it could really reap some great benefits.
Oh, I've seen it make $200,000-$300,000 differences and more in a sales price. A home that might really only be worth $600,000 or $700,000, sell for upwards of $9, maybe over $1 million by the staging. And
that's worth doing it in my book. So
right, when it
at least
going to cost
considering
you
it
$20,000, to make $200,000 or $300,000. So it depends, case by case.
Right. But that's where your real estate broker is going to be able to give you the best advice for your home and your market and time frame today, where it's almost July 2024. So it's definitely not July 2022. As far as the market, the real estate market.
Then, it will sell no matter how terrible it looks.
Yeah, you could literally have just the worst pictures and nothing staged, and people are going to rush in to buy it with multiple offers and no inspections. That's not today. We're going back to what a balanced real estate market is. So today...
It could even go from balanced to worse. I mean, none of us have a crystal ball.
Exactly.
But, we've been through some really rough markets. And... homes, it's not normal for a home to sell in a week with 7 offers or 14 offers or 45 people in line to come into open house to look at. That's just not normal.
We are coming off of over a decade of the biggest real estate boom in history.
Right.
And so we have to realize that there's a high there of was it 2012 onward, basically 2013.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
2012 to 2022.
That period of history was just throw it on the MLS, your home's gonna sell.
Right.
And that is not the way. That's not reality.
It was a season.
Yeah.
Like, life is all about seasons. And
Right.
that was a season, and
It takes a little more effort.
Yeah, interest rates were just all the factors going into what we're looking at right now.
In Washington State, we can't speak for other places throughout the
Right.
nation, but Washington State is seeing a bit of a correction. But I wouldn't say real estate stagnant or dead.
No.
Things are moving.
It's just not crazy like it was.
Yeah,
And the point is, staging does make a difference.
Makes a huge difference, especially in these non-seller friendly markets.
Or unusual properties.
Yep.
So my favorite story actually about staging that should have happened early in the selling process that didn't was that custom home.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was
Teddy bear heaven.
Teddy bear. Hey, you're spoiling it. So it was a custom home. It was about 5,000 square feet. It had 2 master suites. And that right there, like the husband and wife, they were retired. They designed this home for their retirement. And they each wanted a master bedroom. One was on the main level. The other one was downstairs with like rec rooms and hobby rooms. And then the lower level was garage. Big, huge garage and an elevator. So it was very custom and it had amazing views. But walking in the home the first time, I immediately thought, we've got to do something about the peach pink carpet and the peachy pink walls everywhere and mint green. And if I love peach, I do. I love the color peach, but not everywhere. And most buyers, like actually 100% of the buyers rejected, those paint colors and the carpet colors. But the kicker was the teddy bear collection. Like that was, to me, obvious. The seller, the wife, had a collection of teddy bears, and particularly in the main floor master suite, about 150 teddy bears sprinkled everywhere.
Just a few.
No, I'm not exaggerating. And I said, we're really going to have to pare these down. Maybe a couple
Does she
teddy
have
bears
kids that
would
just
be
love
okay.
the teddy bears?
No, it was a collection. It was her personal collection.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to part with them, didn't want to change anything. And I thought, okay, maybe the marketplace will just love this view and the elevator and the, multiple master suites, maybe intergenerational families looking for, but the feng shui was tough on that. That's another video.
Yeah.
Feng shui. But yeah, so no, 11 months into it, no one was buying the home. Nobody was making an offer. We priced it correctly, but then, it sat on the market about 11 months. And I said, okay, we're going to have to make this attractive to the buyers. Are you ready to do the changes that we really need to do? And they were. They really wanted to sell. So we changed the paint colors in the interiors, changed the carpet, got rid of all the teddy bears, and we even changed some light fixtures that at the time is a lot of gold. Gold's back in right now, but it was not in at the time. This was in, I don't know, late 90s, somewhere in the early 2000s. Gold was not the, fixture color. It was more of the wrought iron. Yeah. Oil rub bronze was, would
Pretty
be in.
in.
Yeah.
That's early 2000s.
So we changed a few light fixtures, got rid of some of the gold, and it sold within 30 days. And they still got a decent price, but not the price that it had started at,
So
the
the
year
moral
prior.
of the teddy bear story is sometimes something that you hold very dear to your heart as far as decor in your home may not help your case in selling your home for top dollar. And that's where you need a real estate broker to come in and say, okay, I'm going to shoot you straight. These teddy bears got to go.
They got to go.
Whatever your teddy bears are, and this is by no offense if your seller's watching this video, everyone makes a mistake. So,
Actually, I think they've passed away now. Yeah, because they were older. Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah. R.I.P. Yeah.
So anyway, whatever your teddy bear is, just be open for your real estate broker to say, this has got to go. Just they have your best interest in mind. That's why you're hiring them. So think about that. So that's a really important thing is staging. That's a key to selling your home. And you're most likely, it's pretty much impossible to do it yourself with proper mindset because other people with an objective perspective are going to come in and tell you, this looks good, this doesn't, this looks good, this doesn't.
And we're attached. As homeowners, we're attached.
Totally.
Especially to our tchotchkes, our
Yep.
little collectible things.
Right.
It's so hard to part with them and decide what to go. And so a professional is going to come in and help you purge. Probably keep one thing for every 3, 4, 5, depending on how many things you have, decor pieces that just need to go, and just kind of make it clean and pristine, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the next very important key of preparing your home for sale is possibly the biggest thing. Pricing. So a lot of people have unrealistic expectations of what their home's going to sell for in 2024 specifically, because we're riding that high that we were talking about for the past 10 years. And they just see what Zillow says and they say that's my highest and best, which actually sometimes Zillow could be off in the other direction. Maybe
Zillow's gotten better.
Yeah,
there was a time where they were off by 20-30%.
Yeah, today's day and age, with the AI and all the advancement.
But it depends on the property, really. And the Zillow's using algorithms and information they have from the tax records. Tax records are wrong about 30-40% of the time. So Zillow's using flawed, inaccurate information about the subject property. But I've seen times, even the golf course house, Zillow said it was worth $800,000 and we got $1,360,000 for that house.
Right.
That's quite a difference between this estimate and what the market would bear, especially unique properties.
That took a lot of work for you, to get that
But
price.
I knew that Zillow was dead wrong and that it was only using data that it had and it wasn't looking from a marketing standpoint outside the box.
True.
It was only looking in that little neighborhood, and the comps were actually in other golf course neighborhoods.
Yeah. Regardless, you're going to need your real estate broker to give you a proper, up-to-date, valid for 60 days market analysis of what your property could go for based on comparable sales. Not what other people have their homes listed for, but the homes that have sold that are direct comparables to your subject property.
And a good broker is going to call the pendings and find out, hey, is it going to close at the asking price or at a premium or a discount? You know, how much? And if they have good relationships with those other listing brokers, they'll get some very key information that you need to price correctly. And oftentimes, we'll tell sellers, let's take another look just a few days before we go live on the market. Let's look at our pricing and make sure
it's still accurate, because things can change one way or the other, even, just within a week or two.
Yeah, so that's really important in pricing, is to just look at all of that.
Yeah, exactly. That pricing can kill you if you do it wrong. Overpricing can really kill you. There's a mindset, and this is what some people think, is it's impossible to underprice your home because the market will always bring to bear what your home is valued. Which we see that if you price your home really reasonably, you're gonna, no matter what market you're in, people that are hungry for that home are gonna go and see it, and they're gonna push your property's value to a certain price that market will bear. That's one tactic. The other tactic is marketing it and trying to get highest and best for your property.
You don't want to leave money on the table, so we're open to trying. Oftentimes, especially with unique properties, we can try a really high price.
There has to be something unique about the property, though.
Really unique, really unique properties. Again, looking at comps, sometimes we won't just look at the small geographic area. We'll go outside. Like there was a property down south of Gig Harbor that we looked at comps up in the San Juan Islands, like 4 counties away.
Yeah, but it was
so
such
unique.
a unique property that's the only way to do it.
Right.
Really. That ended up being a legacy property. We have a case study on that. Yeah.
We have 2 case studies because we sold it twice, 16 years apart. Yeah. And each time, how we priced it and got record prices.
Yeah, that's a cool story.
Both sellers, different sellers,
Yep. The next key to preparing your home for sale after the physical prep and then the staging and then the pricing, key number 4 is photos and video. And so you probably don't want to do those yourself. if you're an untrained professional.
Right.
So that's something, once again, you want to be working with a great real estate broker, and that could really change the game for you because they have resources and vendors that are going to be able to come in and market your property to what it deserves through photos and video.
Well, I think the way we've marketed properties is unique, and not many brokers are willing to go that extra mile. But for the sellers is to show lifestyle. And that involves sometimes hiring models, hiring animals. If there's, for instance, riding trails, horseback riding trails. Instead of just talking about the horse riding trails, show the horse riding trails.
Yeah, a photo's worth 1,000 words. A video's
video.
worth 10,000 words.
Yeah, show. Don't just say that you can launch your kayak from the beach. Actually show the kayaks being launched. Or, kids canoeing on your little private lake, or, gardening and showing the garden. And
of course, you're talking, these sound really luxurious properties, which we have experience with. But if you have a normal person's property,
you might have a garden.
I was going to say, there's other things, like everything you just described is like, I was thinking of all these other properties that we've represented that are multi-million-dollar properties and awesome. But even if you have a normal property, like me or Heidi, it's like you can still market it, and we call it lifestyle marketing. So what is it like to live at that property? Whether you're just living downtown, what are the amenities? What can you focus on? What kind of lifestyle are you going to create? Because that's what people really, most of the time, purchase properties because they have a certain lifestyle in mind that they want to be there.
And it can be, you can show amenities in the Northwest MLS.
Yeah.
You can show amenities that accompany the neighborhood, the area.
Yep.
So it could be the parks down the street, the shopping, the coffee stands, what have you. You're showing amenities of the community, the neighborhood, and then the actual home and property.
Yeah.
So
there's definitely, So in summary, we kind of long-winded saying you need to focus on getting quality photos and quality video for the marketing, preparing your home to be sold. You have to have that. And if you don't, you'll see that negatively impact your sale price.
The other thing is, I'm a believer in taking sometimes the contrarian approach. Like, just because the Northwest MLS will allow 40 photos to be uploaded or Zillow,
you don't need 18 photos of your kitchen sink.
You don't. It's less is more. Like your goal is to get people to come to your property and not armchair quarterback and decide thumbs down they don't want to go see it. So, we're not hiding anything, but we want to entice people to come and actually step foot into the property and fall in love with it, which they really can't do from their desk.
Normally. I mean, how many real estate transactions have you been a part of?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and
hundreds.
hundreds.
So hundreds of transactions. How many times have you sold a property or helped a buyer without them physically being there? How many times?
Oh, well, let's see. There was people in the Philippines.
Is it under 5?
Yeah. Well, probably less than a dozen.
Okay, so less than a dozen, which is far less than 10%.
Probably count them on one hand.
Okay, so that probably puts you at 1%.
Yeah.
Probably 1% of buyers are going to purchase the home without being there. So we got to realize photos and video are just there to make people go to the property. And
you just don't. Yeah, less is more. We've sold more than one property with one photo, not 40.
Yeah.
One photo, and we've seen this done.
That's crazy, but cool and interesting.
One photo,
and different.
because the buyers needed to come and see it. And we've gotten, I can think of one specific example. The home really on paper was worth about $3.5 million. And we were able to use one photo to get the right buyers to come and look at it. Very exclusive neighborhood, very special. It was very special, but we just wanted buyers to come and look at it. And I think we got them, we listed it 3.9. It really on paper was worth 3.5 all day long, and that was it. 3.5. Listed at 3.9, and we got them 3.7.
So if you're willing to do that, take that risk of like
With
risk,
one- yeah.
you know, or contrarian
It was
approach.
a contrarian approach.
And we're willing
it
to do that
worked.
and have experience with that. So that's something that's pretty cool.
It got the seller $200,000 more than the property really was worth. So
the last key to preparing your home for sale, this is all before you press submit on the listing, your broker does that, or if you're doing FSBO or anything, is we suggest a pre-inspection. And the reason for that is no matter what state your house is in, number one, you're going to create peace of mind for buyers. They're like, wow, they really did their homework and they got everything all lined up and they're ready. But number two is, so there's no surprises.
no surprises. We had a property that we did this with fairly recently, and you never would have guessed what the inspector found. And had it happened during a negotiation with a contract, the buyer would have walked. And so that pre-inspection showed some rot under the deck posts that the seller had really taken immaculate care of this home. And we were all so surprised by this rot. But then we stopped the process, got the deck repaired, had the inspector come back, and then that item was removed from the report because the deck was posts were no longer rotten, and it didn't blow up a deal. And
it's just obviously real estate's a lot about negotiation, and negotiation can really be pushed in one way if there's a surprise that comes up when they say, yeah, here's your offer, but it's pending, it's contingent inspection. And the inspection comes back and says, hey, your deck is going to cost me 20 grand. I'm going to take 20 grand off the top, and you're like, oh no, and didn't see that. It could be anything like that. So getting a pre-inspect is basically getting in front of any issue that may arise with the structure or just something on the property. It's definitely a prudent thing to do. We suggest it for
most of the time.
Most of the time.
I mean, there is a provision, and we have a property that we're talking with the seller about that it potentially would have so many items that the seller's not willing to even address. That they're going to dig their heels in, which you can do as a seller if you have good representation. And there's a provision on a inspection contingency form that the buyers would use with their offer. There's a provision where you say as a seller, I don't want to see your inspection report if you submit an offer with an inspection contingency. You cannot give me any request for repairs based on an inspection, or your inspection contingency is deemed waived. And so there's language in there, so you can take a tough stance, but that's, it just really depends on case by case. But it's most of the time a really good idea to have a pre-inspection, and so you're not surprised by anything.
So these are the 5 keys that we believe in to preparing your home for sale. So that's the prep, which is the physical prep, the interior, the exterior.
The title report.
All of that. And then it's the staging. Get it professionally staged. Bring a professional in. Number 3 is pricing. Very important to lock that down. Make sure that's accurate. 4 is the marketing photos and the video. Make sure those are professional and looking good and ready to put your home in the best light. And number 5 is pre-inspection. Just get in front of anything that could be an issue. We have seen this time and time again be very helpful for our sellers. So we really hope that this video has been very beneficial for you, that you've learned a lot, and that you're ready to go sell your home for top dollar. And if you're looking for representation in Washington State, we are happy to help you guys as we cover 16 counties here in Washington.
17, I think.
We have covered 17 counties, yes.
We lose count.
Yeah, exactly. But we're happy to help you guys reach your real estate goals. If you have any questions, please reach out. And if you enjoyed this content, once again, please like and subscribe.
Give us a thumbs up.
And share with your friends that might find this valuable.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for watching. Take care.